Hi, I'm James, the Commercial Director for CYSIAM, the cybersecurity company. This is the second of my interviews, charting my mission to understand a bit more about the technical side of our company. This time I'm interviewing Tom, one of our senior consultants, about cyber hygiene, the basics and why they work. He's got a great perspective on this from an attacker's point of view. And we had a great conversation about what to do and why in order to mitigate your cyber risk. I hope you enjoy the interview, and I'll see you at the end for a little bit more waffle. Thanks very much. So I'm here with Tom once again to talk about our second topic, which is cyber hygiene, the basics of keeping yourself secure in the cyber world and why they work and how they work. Hi Tom, how you doing?
Hi Jim, how's it going? Not too bad. Good. This side, your side?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. Yeah, I got a cup of tea. Could be worse.
Definitely could be.
Yeah. So, cyber hygiene. Now, a couple of days ago, actually, I was trying to think before this interview. I was trying to think about how I've been affected by cyber attacks and cyber problems. Now, the most recent one was a credit card. I was phoned at night, about 10 o'clock at night or something, by a credit card company, and my card had been breached. And they said, is there, there's a transaction on this card in New Jersey or something, wanting to take out a load of money. Is this you? So I said no, and they said, okay, thank you very much. Card stopped. Get a new card in the post. Thanks very much. Mm-hmm. And I thought, how the hell has my card been breached by somebody in New Jersey? And I guess this happens quite a lot. I mean, how are people getting this information?
So on that one, there's sort of a couple of ways they can go about it. They can either phish you to try and get information out of you, but you, with the awareness training you've got, you understand that you're not going to type your credit card details into a random email you get. What's more likely to happen with that is that's a third party has been compromised and leaked your credit card data. So you've entered your credit card data into a third party's website to buy something, and they've then stored that in an insecure manner, and then they've got access to that. So it's nothing that you've done wrong. It's a third party. It's highly likely that is the case in this scenario.
Right. Okay. So that's the online shop or something that I've given my credit card number when I bought, some widgets or something, and they've been breached, and they haven't, and then they haven't told me.
Precisely. Yeah. They might not even know. They might not know they've been breached.
Right. Okay. They might not even know.
Nope.
So there can be no signs for them that they've been breached.
Absolutely, yeah. Like a load of credit card data gets leaked online, unless there's a data set with their name in it, it's just a load of numbers that people could be selling.
Unattributable.
Could be, yeah, very much. There are a lot of places on the, especially the dark web, that you can log on to, and you can just buy bulk credit card data. You can just buy like 1,000 people's credit cards that have they even sell them in categories. So people who've got like a $500 limit or a £500 limit, a £1,000 limit, like a £10,000 limit. Then there's even sections that sell them Amex cards, so cash cards that have a huge limit. There's a section for that, and each limit is worth more for each card, but it's still within the pennies to the pounds for each card.
Bloody hell! So this is all available on the sort of dark web or something.
Yeah, there's even some websites that have customer service. If a credit card doesn't work for you, they'll refund your money or give you a new one. It's a full business they're using with this credit card data, and it's not going to work well if you're sending it out to 10,000 people and you get 1,000 responses. You might burn that campaign quickly, because the more you use it, from the last talk, the more you use something, the more it's going to get burned. A higher return of investment is to breach a third party and steal everything at once.
Yeah. And steal it without them knowing that it's been stolen, ideally.
Best way, yeah.
How would they find out? How would they, assuming that the third party company that I've bought something from is, its integrity is intact, it's a decent, trustworthy company. Mm-hmm. How do they find out? I mean, how do they find out, and how long might they be expected to not know before they do find out?
So it could be anything from, if a company has decent security and they've been breached, it could be anything from 24 hours, all the way up to months. If a company isn't actively monitoring their security systems and a threat's inside, it could be months before they're detected.
Yeah. That's pretty scary, isn't it?
Very
I mean,
much so.
so we're talking about not just credit card details here. We're talking about, details that could identify people and addresses and email
Yep,
addresses.
precisely
Yeah.
it.
So I've heard about people taking over people's ID, their whole kind of online ID and using that for stuff. I guess that's how it happens, right? Companies just their data assets being raided.
Pretty much, yeah. The best thing to target, like, why would you target an individual, which is going to take a lot of effort, when you could target a company, which might take a lot of effort, but there's a very high return of investment if you get access to their sensitive data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess where those data holdings are kind of aggregated, so one company holding the data of lots of other companies, then that risk is exponentially increased.
Yep.
So an attacker only needs to go to one place, right? One-stop shop, a data center or a managed service provider or something.
Exactly it, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. So in terms of the basics then, so if you're a company looking to protect yourself and protect your reputation, I don't know which one of those might be more worth protecting, probably both, but
yeah. So legally you have to report a data breach to your customers. If you've had a data breach, you do have to inform the customers that, like, what data has been affected. We've seen that with, like, was it the Marriott that got hacked?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that with the Marriott hack, where they have to inform all their customers they were breached.
Yeah.
Which, think about how much money it's going to cost to inform every single person on lists of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the marketing campaign behind it, the amount of people that are going to be trying to say, well, what's been taken? Why has my data not been secured properly? What steps have you taken to secure my data? And then they got breached again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's reputational damage is huge, but people are still going to use their hotel chain.
Yeah, but they'll be wary about things, won't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember seeing a headline actually about the BA hack, and it was, I think they were fined. I think the authorities can fine 4% of global turnover, can't they? So it's substantial fines. Maybe they were fined about 100 million or 150 million or something like that. It's incredible.
CYSIAM background checker here. At the time of recording this interview, the fine levied by the UK ICO, that's the Information Commissioner's Office, on BA was reportedly £183 million. Since then, this has been a subject to an extended regulatory process and may change significantly, but still gives you an idea of the kind of numbers involved in this sort of breach.
I think it comes back down to companies. There's normally not a monetary outcome from security. Like, you normally don't earn anything off it until you realize that when you're breached, your reputation is everything. Like, you should protect your reputation with your life. If you've been breached and all your company's information gets leaked, people lose thousands of pounds of, like, investment or anything in your company. Yeah,
big problems.
Huge.
So it's definitely worth doing. It's definitely worth having things in place to detect when you've been breached, and to have processes in place for when you find out you've been breached. Yeah,
the big one is, like, you are going to get breached. Like, it's going to happen at some point. You are going to be hacked by either a mass campaign or a targeted campaign. If you've got a lot of money flying around a company and you don't have security, you're an easy target. It's less time investment on the hacker's part if they're targeting you to see that you don't have security. If they look at your external gateway and they see an old Windows machine, for instance, that hasn't been patched, or there's no patch management.
How do they? Sorry, just wind back a bit. How do they look? How do they look at your external gateway? What does that mean?
Oh, so anything that's on the internet is being scanned all the time. Like, if you open up something on the internet, for instance, like DigitalOcean is a good example that I use. I open a DigitalOcean machine, open a web browser or web port, and just let people scan it. And you just see people actively just trying to scan for the quick wins. So it happens a lot there's a lot of stuff coming from China, like a lot of scanning from China. If you go on something called Shodan, it's a website you can go onto and just look at the internet. You can just see what's out there.
Oh, right. So these are potential attackers or real attackers scanning the internet to see where the gaps are, where they can get in to do whatever they're motivated to do.
So Shodan is a legitimate service. Shodan offers services to scan your external infrastructure or tell you if anything's changed or et cetera, but they just have all the information online. So, like, all good intentions aside, if a malicious attacker uses it, they can use that to discover your external gateways. And if you've got outdated like out of date software on there, they're going to find that out without ever interacting with you.
Yeah. Okay. So as a company or as an organization, what do I do to keep myself out of Shodan's radar?
So this comes back to the basics of cyber hygiene, of like a vulnerability management program. How do you know what threats are there unless you've actively tested for them? So it's like a vulnerability management could include like your patches, updated antivirus. So if anyone does actually get into your box, like it's a bit harder for them because then they have to bypass another step. So it's all about the steps. If you're fully patched and you've got hardened configuration and you're actively managing vulnerabilities, you've stopped the quick wins.
So first of all, I guess, is understanding. So some companies are big, right? They've got loads of data, loads of systems of systems all connected together. You know, I guess the first bit is understanding what you've got. I mean, presumably it's quite easy to lose control of your system configuration and architecture.
Yeah, it's seen quite a few times. There's a lot of companies that just lose control of their asset management, especially if there's like thousands of people. How do you control thousands of people's laptops effectively if everyone's traveling all over the place all the time? And there's a really good example we've done actually with the company where we got into a target network. Some of the stuff was secure, some of them needed a few patches and et cetera, which allowed us to get somewhere. But we found one machine that hadn't been updated since about 2007, and it had a lot of critical information on there. And it was, they didn't even know it existed. They didn't actually know that they had that server still because it was in a foreign country that wasn't controlling their estate properly, but that was still connected to their internal network, and that allowed us access in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, wow. Yeah. So keeping a real handle on what you've got, what's out there, what constitutes your network as an organization has got to be like number one, isn't it?
Because how are you going to come up with a security plan if you don't know what you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like choosing a lock for your door. If you don't know what door you have, how are you going to choose a lock for it?
Yeah. Great. Okay. So once you've worked out, you know what you've got, you know what components make up your network or your organization's network architecture. What then? What's the kind of the next step to making sure that we don't appear on people's scans that that are people that are scanning the internet to find out vulnerabilities and opportunities?
Like if you've got a good handle on what equipment you have, so the estate management doesn't just come into hardware as an asset management, it comes into software. So what operating system version is running on there? Is it a latest version operating system? Is it still in date? When was the last patches applied? And then once you've understood like the base OS, you go, right, there's some third-party services. So if you're running an Apache web server, is that being patched? What version of Apache is running on the machine? So you've got this inventory control, which doesn't just include hardware. It's hardware, what operating system is on it, what patches applied, what third parties on there, what patches applied. Because someone might have really good patch management for their operating systems, like using a WSA server that automatically pushes the updates out and et cetera, et cetera. But if they've got third-party services that don't have an automatic update function, how are you updating those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's managing your network in the best way, including hardware, including software, operating systems, applications you've got on there, making sure you understand what you've got and that it's all up to date with the latest bits. And then presumably the next level of security is what kind of firewalls and antivirus, and because presumably you would want to have your network in the best possible position before you hire in someone to attack it, because otherwise they'll just come in and go, you're not great. Here's a report saying you're not great. Let's have some money.
There's a lot of companies using penetration testing to discover all their vulnerabilities. A penetration test shouldn't be if you've got a good skilled penetration tester, or they might find things that you haven't found, but you should have a vulnerability management program.
Yeah.
Like before you even come to pen testing, you should understand what vulnerabilities you have. You shouldn't let a pen tester on your network until you're confident you sort of know what they're going to find, or you at least know like 80% of what they're going to find. You might hire a really skilled pen tester that comes in and just destroys you anyway. And he comes in and goes, right, you've missed these things, add those to your vulnerability management program. Because when a pen tester finds something, you can then go, oh, awesome, we didn't see that before. Add it to your vulnerability management program. Try and fix all those issues, then hire a pen tester in again. Get him to check it again. Get another person to come in, or a different company or a different skill set, and just keep your vulnerability management database will grow and grow. And then from that, you can understand your risk. Some things you're not going to be able to mitigate against. Like, it's just, you do have to have a level of acceptance, but you can't make an informed decision unless you know what you're making the decision on.
Yeah, absolutely. So making decisions about network security without having done that is, you're making a decision completely in the dark, ill-informed.
Yep. It's when people say I accept the risk, it's like, do you really understand the risk?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I accept the risk on the basis that we're vulnerable, we're going to get hacked anyway, almost certainly, but these are the residual risks and I'm willing to live with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So getting yourself in that position is like the number one most important thing in terms of cyber hygiene.
When you understand what you have and what your vulnerabilities are, then you're in a really good place.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so that's quite the kind of, that is the technical side. Does pen testing look at what procedures are in the company and what people are doing? And
no. So once you've got a good grip on security, you can then come into something called red teaming, which is essentially being a real attacker. So an attacker might assume that you have got good security, so your technical controls in place are good. But if you've only got static controls, like you are still only relying on your patches, you're still only relying on like normal antivirus or next gen antivirus, as they sometimes call it. It's a static defense. Attackers will always bypass static defenses. It's something that the military heavily pushes on. Like, one static defense isn't good enough. You need to be dynamic and you need to be responding to these things. So then how do you get that? Who is your security team? The answer to that is everyone.
Yeah.
If I'm, perfect example, phishing. If I'm trying to get into a company's network and I see that your external gateways are good, you've obviously got good patch management, so you're keeping up with the latest patch and stuff like that. But like, cool, I'm going to move off that angle and I'm going to start attacking your people. So I've gone off technology now and I'm going to start researching your individuals. This is for a targeted attack, by the way. I'm going to go on LinkedIn, I'm going to go on Twitter, I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm going to just find everyone who's tagged to your company and I'm going to start picking off the low hanging fruit. Like, what data do I want? Who's going to have access to that data? I might not even need to hack, might not need to drop malware on you. If I figure out, the example that everyone loves using is, say, CEO's on holiday, and if I say spoof his mobile number, because I find his mobile number from his Facebook or his Twitter or whatever like that, and I message or email his PA, I go, hi, sorry, I'm on holiday, I don't want you to respond to this, can you wire £10,000 to this account, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that is the example that everyone loves using, because it's a really good example. So it happens all the time. It's a non-technical way to get access to your money, which comes back down to user awareness training.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, everyone is a part of the security team.
So yeah, you mentioned LinkedIn there. So if I'm an attacker, I'm using, what was the scanning software that you mentioned?
Shodan.
Shodan, yeah. So if I'm using Shodan, would I also be doing stuff like looking at so maybe Shodan would give me the first set of opportunities, and then I'd maybe go onto social media and stuff and look at key players. Is that how the attacking kind of process works then? Yeah.
So it's if you've got different skill levels of adversaries, a script kiddie who's just in it for fun probably isn't going to start trying to phish your users. He's going to be looking at, if you've got a vulnerability that's publicly available on the internet on your external gateway, he might use it because it's fun, it's easy, it's a quick win for him. If he sees that you don't and nothing's working against you, like you've mitigated against the common things, he might move on to a new target. That's one level of threat dealt with. Right, now let's go to the next level of threat. What are we afraid of losing? People's credit card information. We're afraid of our website being defaced, or et cetera, et cetera. Right, how are they going to do that after the next steps? And then the more determined attackers you get, the higher level they're going to go to get into your systems. And the biggest way is phishing.
Right, is it?
Yeah.
So phishing is that's receiving an email with a link or a file in it, and enticing the user to click on it. Yeah.
Might not be an email. So everyone in this user awareness training these days goes, oh, I'm going to receive an email that's going to have a Word document or a link that I'm going to click on and enter some data and passwords. What if I come to you on LinkedIn? What if I make a fake profile, I build up enough of a following to make it look legitimate, and then I start messaging you? I start talking to you on a platform other than email, and I send you links through LinkedIn rather than email. Your defenses might be top notch, or your people might be all over the email phishing because you're doing it constantly. And like, the IT team is constantly getting metrics for how many people are clicking links or who needs more education and further education. What if you're not testing on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook?
Right. Okay.
Their defenses might be down. So like, social engineering isn't just sending someone an email. It's finding a way to entice that user to do something, which when you step back and look at it, how do you interact with that user?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay, so that's much broader, much more difficult to defend against, because it's so cyber. Yeah, the cyber threat isn't a technical threat exclusively. It's as much a soft threat as it is a kind of hard technical threat.
Yeah, very much so.
So I guess, okay, so in understanding your network, you want to think about, for me, it looks like, so yeah, sorry, just going back to that, understanding your network, the vulnerable areas would seem to me to be things like laptops, mobile phones, things that you can take out of the office, things that could get stolen, and things that, I don't know, you might leave for a while on their own or whatever.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, maybe 5 years ago, that was a lot more of an issue. These days, like a lot of companies, especially that are moving to Mac, or they're using Windows with built-in BitLocker encryption, I see it as less of an issue now. If we do, say, a stolen laptop assessment, well, you give us one of your laptops and a user account, and say we're an attacker, what can we do with that laptop? If your hard drive is encrypted and the laptop's powered off, so they've accidentally left it on a train, and they've left that laptop on there, but the lid's closed, or like it's been powered off, whatever like that, an attacker probably won't be able to get into it.
Right.
Or the amount of effort you'd have to go for like something like a cold boot attack or something is just exponentially higher and higher. But it's probably going to be okay. Mobile devices, like a lot of companies like Apple, if you've got the latest iPhone and then you keep them updated with like mobile device management, that's probably going to be fine as well. It's very hard to attack people's mobile devices.
Okay.
Very hard.
Yeah, and we talked in the last discussion about nation state attacks, and actually, you know, if they want to attack you, you're going to get breached, you know. So.
Yeah. If a nation state wants to come after you, you can have all the best intentions in the world. It's probably not going to stop them.
Yeah.
Because they might not come after your technology. If you've spent millions and millions on securing your tech, what if they just pay someone 50 grand in your company to go and pull the data off for them?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not just a technical security side, it's very procedural and people based.
Yeah. So also, you know, I know, because we've recently set up some of our cloud-based systems and stuff like that, and I've been looking at user privileges. So presumably user privileges are critical, and getting those right, managing them correctly, because it, you know, as an attacker, are you thinking, I want to get to somebody, I want to pretend to be somebody with the highest level of user privilege, presumably, because that would allow you access into areas of the system, areas of the network that.
Yeah, so it depends what my goals are. If you've got good network segregation, or like you publish that you're good at security or whatever like that, I will probably try and get highest privileges. But if I just see that you're a medium-sized enterprise, you've been going for a while, it doesn't look like you're investing in IT too much, looking at the external part of your gateway or what services you're using, I might go for the lowest privilege user, or the user that has the least IT experience. And if you've got open file shares that everyone can access, because like you want everyone to be faster and more dynamic, like their business, if I get one user and I get access to all your company data, why would I waste time trying to build a profile to attack an IT engineer who's probably going to spot me a lot faster than like somebody who doesn't have security awareness training?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what is the lowest amount of like equity I can possibly use to achieve an objective? So like pen testing will look at your deep technical parts. You like, I want this area, or we just introduced this new service. Can you make sure that this is mitigated against these common things? Like, yeah, cool, we can. When you take a step back and you take off the reins of tight constraints with only 3 IP addresses, and you say, I just want to know how easy it is to attack me, that's when you come into the people as well.
So once you've realized you've been attacked, once you've realized you've been breached, what's the best thing you can do then? You know, from an attacker's perspective, if you've given yourself away, either intentionally or not, what's the thing that you don't want to happen? I.e., what should an organization plan to do once it realizes it's been breached?
So the key thing is, if you do see an attacker on a machine, like for instance, if I'm inside a network and you just take that machine off the network and you think you're safe, are you though? How long have I been in that network? Like, how many more machines am I on inside your network? What privileges do I have?
Quick CYSIAM background check. According to ZDNet, in most cases, it takes companies about 6 months to detect a data breach. So that is a 6-month head start for the criminals.
How long have I been in that network? Like, how many more machines am I on inside your network? What privileges do I have? So if I've got all of your passwords for all of your users and you just delete one account, I'll just log in with another one. I'll just keep going. So it's trying to understand what stage. So if we bring in a bit of a buzzword here, the cyber kill chain, as everyone loves saying it, what stage of the kill chain is someone at? Have they already started exfiltrating data? Because then they're on the actions of objective stage and they've done the other 6 steps already. So at that point, you then realize that they could be furthering your network and they could have persistence. So if you just reboot a machine and you delete a user and that machine starts up again, their malware could be come back. Like, what domains are they calling back to? How are they doing it? That kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So preparing other aspects of what to do in an incident. So going back to my credit card breach.
Yep.
Ideally, if that company that I'd used that had got my data that had been infiltrated by somebody, what's the best thing for them to do when they first realise that they've been hacked?
So I don't know what the time frame is for release, but obviously it's going to be a massive PR problem that you've been breached. So they're obviously going to try and delay as much as they can. Discover to what extent. Like, if you find out you've been breached, what extent have you been breached to? If you don't know what you've been breached to, it could be everything. If you don't know, it could be everything from you've just had someone deface your website to they deface your website and stolen all your company's credit card data.
Yeah.
An individual is probably going to be less concerned that your website's been defaced. Like, essentially the poster on the front of your building has been scribbled on a little bit, but they will be concerned about the data breach. So if you find out that your website's just been defaced, good. Does anything affect your clients? It'll still look bad for you for security wise, but you are always going to get breached.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, how much have you been breached?
Yeah.
And if you take all reasonable steps to secure yourself and that still happens, you can hold your hands up high and say, look, we have a security program, we have a vulnerability management system, we have these. They got in through a 0 day, or they got in through some means that just isn't common, or just something that was just accidental. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you can hold your hand on heart and say we tried, much better.
And then your reputation's still intact. But you still want to make sure that all the data that's been stolen and the people that relates to, or the organizations that relates to, they're kind of warned about this. So I guess getting the PR bit, the PR bit right, and warning people about stuff that's gone missing or been stolen is important as well, right?
Huge.
In terms of managing your reputation.
Even so a lot of people seem to be getting cyber insurance at the moment, which confuses me slightly. They're using cyber insurance to replace vulnerability management programs. If you get breached and an auditor comes in to say, right, you've been breached, we are going to look at how we're going to pay you out. If your machine hasn't been patched in 2 years and you got hacked because of something that got released 2 years ago, they're not going to pay out. They're going to say, well, your networks weren't secure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So if it's your negligence, then your problem, even if you've got an insurance cover. Yeah.
Insurance doesn't mean you're going to get the money back, and insurance also doesn't help your reputation.
Yeah, and from looking at the cyber insurance market, I know it's relatively immature, and there aren't that many cases. I mean, I know that there are certainly some cases of organisations taking cybersecurity insurance companies to court to try and get payment for something that they thought they were covered for. Yeah, it's a tricky area, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the legal side of it is, I understand my legal bounds, but the cyber insurance side is still a complicated field to me.
Yeah.
And
the last bit, actually, that I just want to mention was about joiners, movers, and leavers. I think you've got an attacker's perspective on that. That I think that's quite a common vulnerability in organizations, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. So the best instance I'd say is, like, we found an executive, like a high-level executive in a company. For some reason, we don't know why to this day, he had administrative privileges over one server, just one. There wasn't really much running on the server, but he had admin privileges to it, and we don't know why. But that just comes back down to when we looked at his Active Directory profile. So he's essentially his security profile and what attributes he's got, and like, et cetera, et cetera. one of them was just access to this one server, and we don't know why. And that allowed us to get on there, and that's how we owned this network.
Right.
Just because we don't know why this executive had admin access to that. But then, like, he could have moved from another department, or if someone moves from IT and they're an administrator and they move to a more management role, do they still have administrator privileges? Why do they have administrator privileges? Like, is there a procedure to go, right, you are no longer on keyboard, you are now managing the people on keyboard, why do you need administrative privileges over them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's, I think in the course of this conversation, we've covered pretty much every department of an organization.
Yeah, very much so.
So it's not buy some tech because that will solve all your problems. It is the whole organization is involved in this. It has to be a concerted effort, and it's a culture change, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as anything else.
So one of the things that excites me in cybersecurity is bypassing these endpoint defense products, because it is a static defense. The thing that makes it complicated isn't you've got all these fancy products, it's the people behind these products.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've got a security analyst, you can do a lot with open source tools. You can catch a lot of things just using free stuff online.
Yeah.
These tools that are being sold and marketed, like for instance, if you use an advanced endpoint defense product or advanced EDR, as they call it, and you put that in an analyst's hands, so a threat hunter, someone who's trained to hunt attackers, it's awesome. It's really good because it speeds up his processes. It gives him more capability. But at the end of the day, it's still a person behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
Like I would take two analysts over any single product every single time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You rarely ever get caught by products. You mainly get caught by people.
Yeah. That's your vulnerability, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Tracing my problems with a credit card and my call from a credit card company at 10 o'clock at night back to what was probably a human error at some point in this chain of operation.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Awesome. That's been a really good chat. Thank you so much, Tom. Looking forward to the next one.
Yep.
And I think I'll go and finish this cup of tea and have a think about what I've just learned. Brilliant.
Yeah. No
Thanks
problem.
a lot for your time.
See you later.
Cheers.
Hi there, James again. I hope you enjoyed that interview anywhere near as much as we enjoyed making it. It was great fun. And I feel so much better informed after that, hopefully you do, about cyber hygiene, what to do if you've been attacked, what to do to find out whether you've been attacked, what the consequences of an attack are. So anyway, it was great fun. I hope it's been of use. And I thought what might be of additional use is to let you know about the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Centre, 10 Steps to Cybersecurity. Now, this is the UK body on cybersecurity, and they've given out these 10 steps. So I thought I'd scroll them along the bottom here, just so that you can have an idea about what the national authority recommends we do to protect ourselves. Thanks. See you at the next one. Okay, bye.